the record stores and the DJs existed a lot in a lot of the South Central areas. We had the Slauson and Western DJ booth down the street, from, right across the street from the Slauson Swap Meet. We had even in Gardena, it was a couple of other locations where we were. A lot of the DJs or homies from the streets would actually go to these VIPs and record stores to go get their music. But then the mixtape game for us paid off because I was able to start hearing other different neighborhoods farther from me. You know what I'm saying, like Compton and Long Beach and Gardena. I started hearing people's expressions of their experiences of life through music. All them tapes was coming across, and which kind of prepared me for Bangin on Wax. Because you had Quick making his mixtapes, and it was Crips actually playing his tapes. I didn't hear it from the Blood. That was another thing. They ignored what wasn't accustomed to their ears because of where they was from, but they saw his gift beyond that. And so when I just incorporated all what was happening in the streets, and it just groomed me. So when not Teddy, but the homie Tweety Bird from Compton, and my other boy Red Rum, from Inglewood, when them two came together with that unique idea to start voicing the big homies who was more in depth with the real things that was happening without giving too much, insight. They was very good with talking about the light layers or the first layers of the grittiness of Crippin' and Blood and trials and tribulations and adversities of broken homes and the police and the whole 9 yards. So it groomed me and it prepared me for that. And I think Leon Haywood and a couple other individuals for that opportunity, because I didn't see that coming. That was like a shock value to my craft.
And what I'm gonna do, Battlecat, before you go on, because you're on a whole nother subject now, because I was gonna speak on Bangin on Wax.
Yeah, it's connected to all that. Yeah. All that. When he say 88, it got close. It got real super close. That's the only reason why I gave you that gem.
And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell y'all out there, for y'all youngsters, to go do y'all research, and for the OGs to know. When Bangin on Wax hit, it was like a atomic bomb in the streets that hit, because for the first time you had every car that you heard go by, whether they was a Blood or a Crip, they was playing the same music, and it kind of brought something. And that album went gold.
Yeah, it really,
a lot of people
did.
It went gold with no radio play. It went gold.
You're right.
And you know how scandalous shit was back then. If it went gold here in the United States, they probably sold, because West Coast music, especially back then at that time, anything West Coast, you go to Japan, it was on. We was out there we took Big A, we took Daz out there, me and Koki took Daz and Glasses out there. They first time to Japan. And we was out there selling CDs for $150, dog. $150, so ain't no telling what they sold out there, but not to cut you off, because I want to get back to it. I just wanted to drop the significance of that, of that CD. Carry on.
As you should. Excuse me. But, when that happened, it was some question marks definitely going across my head, because I know it's a G code, and how much information is going to be, expressed over this music. And the thing about it was, if we could change the narrative, we had to do it first by keeping it raw and express why this attitude, why this language, why this lifestyle and culture is like it is. And definitely it come from poverty-stricken, situations, or father not there or mother not there, and the block hugging you, and this is what their, adolescent or rules or lifestyle is going to be. So, but if the thing is that let's just embrace it. So it felt weird to to perpetuate the genocide aspect of it, meaning what we seen and what we talk and what we lived on the streets is now for to be amplified 10 times more, because it's another thing. You know how it is. You take a song, you put your own spin on it, but now we're doing a video, and now we're putting it on cassette with distribution and a corporation behind this culture. It's for to be looked at all kind of ways. So I had to find a name for myself, and it was C Rider. I'm more of a rider than a banger. I knew better, you know, and I really wanted to be that for numerous of reasons, because I didn't want to tarnish a real name that I earned through some heroes in the music industry.
Right.
And that was Battlecat. I didn't want to be Battlecat from 60s. I wanted to be C Riders from 60s. So when people see that, they're going to have their own spin and perspective. Oh, kid from out of the 60s or over there from the 60s, it's okay. Because one thing I wanted to do was make sure that my own identity, personally and professionally, was embraced. Like, that's one thing I did love about, I still do, about the G's from my hood. They let me be me. And that was a beautiful thing to have that, so I could bring that into making the record. But at first, you know, and you know how it is in the pen, if you going to take a name that is not on the platform of music or not appreciated at all, and you say Rolling 60 or RSC, who is this dude that's representing us, and when would he win? So it got to the top that, hey, this it's a nigga perpetrating us. And then when they found out I was off the AGC and it was actually me, and my reasons is because wasn't no one from my hood really rapping, but we had a big homie from my hood who had a brother named Bandit. He was real good in the art of rapping, but he went and did time. So I didn't have no one from my hood to be a voice. So that's when I became that artist for that movement. And the success of it was to really, like when it got to Ghetto Boy, I mean, not Ghetto Boy, but I would say, yeah, the Ghetto Boys, or what the Chronic was, I was looking for the maturity of Crippin' and Bloodin' to go to another level where we're now not talking about knocking each other's off, right. Because we already got cousins, brothers, sisters, wives, husband, from that perspective going into it. So, and then I was looking at it being another opportunity to introduce different other barrels or ghettos or tribes to another neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? Because in the art of DJing, I always had to dress neutral and make sure that whoever I was bringing with me had an open mind and didn't bring fear to the table by going with me to these different neighborhoods. So that was my contribution. They wanted to do this thing called Bangin' on Wax, so we can re-educate people and get people to know who's who. Because if you ever go across Compton, I didn't have no one until I actually did Bangin' the Wax. I was able to get someone to help me identify what was the lifestyle or the language or culture of Compton. And so that helped me tremendously.
I thought Bangin' on Wax, when I listened to it, it was us banging against them.
Yeah, it definitely
Bloods
was
doing
that.
them,
Yeah.
and the Crips doing them. But the way you putting it is like trying to change it through music.
Yeah.
To put a different spin on it through music. And I didn't look at it by listening to
when we first
Bangin' on
did
Wax.
it.
Yeah, I didn't look at it like that. Like they trying to change something but it was just raw.
Now let me I'm glad you jumped in to say that. Because see, for me, that's why a domino came out of it.
Right.
You feel me? I didn't want us to be looked at as just that. Because if you take the pillars of it off, you got some incredible human beings. And we ain't always looked at as a fucking animal. So why look at that image as a career?
Right.
See, because a lot of those brothers wasn't really active are shot callers from they hood.
Right.
They were just being, in a sense, like
Quite a few
what Cube in a sense was a messenger and a voice
for the neighborhood.
For the neighborhood, and not really an active member. Like me, I wasn't an active member. Dre wasn't an active member. You know, so a lot of us in this game, we not active members, but we hella connected, understanding the culture, the
Y'all
movement.
had some hard ears in that motherfucker though. Come on now.
I mean, but listen, I'm not gonna say that didn't exist.
Right.
You know, but that was my intent because.
But it worked though.
Yeah, that was my intent, and it worked in more ways than one, because I wasn't there to change no one, but it would have been incredible to hear if the second one had to be that same level of, you know, dissing each other. I still wanted the conversation to open up, to show some maturity from both sides.
Exactly.
And you know what I'm saying? And so when you do that, then people can go and say, okay, that's their story, and they really who they are, but they really human beings underneath all that. Because we're dealing with the mayors, the government, we're dealing with police, we're dealing with sheriffs, we're dealing with judge. You know, when they heard that music, they just like, oh shit, they going wild. They not for to become nothing out of this shit.
So don't you think another y'all should do this again, because now everything is different than the 80s, the 90s, with all this shit that's going on today, and gang members crossing over.
Yes.
You know, able to sit at the table with each other.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? From all walks of sides.
Yes.
Now here we are on some total different shit. Now we can speak that, man, if I didn't know this brother from being from Tragnu, I'd have been fucking with him a long time ago.
Yeah.
Now we can rap about that shit. You can get the Bloods, you
Yeah.
can get them on the same page and do it. And that'll be some cold shit.
Big James, I think it got a lot to do with, you know, like I said, the brothers
Maturity.
that I seen, the maturity, the brothers I seen early on in the 80s, they was Crippin' and Blood, and they still had some morals and principles.
Right.
But when you got G's that are ignorant and on the dark side and changing a code or whatever that it is, and they perpetuating something that doesn't bring value to the lifestyle of Crippin' and Blood, and then you got them going in a circle. They confused. They're like, come on, big homie, I see you doing good, and I see you providing this and this from me, but why won't you bring it all the way out across the board? In a sense, like putting the laundry on the table, the ins and the outs of how to will and deal. When do I turn this off?
Real easy.
You know what I'm saying? And in a lot of different neighborhoods, a lot of them didn't want to turn it off because they glorified it. You know, it wasn't. You know, I wasn't privy to see those meetings, and even if I was, I know for me, I didn't want to be in the room, and I'm not active, and that's not my lifestyle. And then I hear this, and then when shit go wrong, then they looking at who was all in the room when this was being talked about.
Right.
So I knew then early on I didn't really want that. I didn't want to be what you know the title that they
Yeah, you didn't want to be the pawn.
I didn't want to be the pawn.
lamb.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of brothers who didn't mean to be there, but they was there because of certain things that they saw that made them comfortable to be there, because they wasn't safe at their own crib. They just felt like, well, damn, if I'm getting this love and he's giving me attention and my dad ain't here or my uncle ain't here, I want to be here.
Yes,
so
indeed.
then you got a lot of artists who get inspired to say, fuck that, I'm carpeting the hard rock and, you know, on the wall, but ain't no one giving me enough to value what I'm thinking about. So if that all those pieces not there, fuck it, I'm just gonna go all the way this way. And then you got a lot of G's that would laugh at that and think it's entertainment and think it's the shit, but really you fucking up someone who could be special or brilliant or successful to life. So when Dre was doing records like Little Ghetto Boy, I was so fucking happy because he spoke from a perspective that the BGs or the little homies always wanted to hear, was a OG take accountability for the bully shit or the destructive shit he inspired this homie. So when he said, I'm bigger than you, what you want to do? Didn't know he had a 22. You know what I'm saying? I cried like a kid because I actually seen those scenarios, and that's when I knew Dre was, you know, this is the type of shit that made everyone hug him even that much more. You know what I'm saying?
Gangster Chronicles, we gon' tell you how it goes. If I lie, my nose will grow like Pinocchio. We gon' tell you the truth and nothing but the truth. Gangster Chronicles, this is not your average show.